He never imagined that love could become something people called ordinary. Every morning she smiled at him before the first transport ships crossed the colony's sky, and every evening they waited together for their little daughter to fall asleep before sharing quiet conversations over warm tea. To him, that was adventure enough. She listened, but her eyes wandered beyond the transparent dome. "Do you ever wonder what waits out there?" she asked. "I already found what I was looking for." She laughed softly. "You're impossible. And you're beautiful when you pretend not to believe me." She rolled her silver eyes, the long, elegant ears of her race twitching in embarrassment. "You always say that, because it's always true." Their daughter suddenly ran into the room holding a broken toy drone. "Dad, it exploded again?" "It didn't explode," he corrected. A tiny puff of smoke rose from the drone. "It exploded a little." The old repair robot rolled across the floor. "Emergency detected. Family under attack." "No one's under attack," he sighed. The robot fired a foam extinguisher anyway. 3 seconds later, everyone stood covered in white foam. Their daughter burst into laughter. Even she couldn't stop laughing. He looked at the robot. "One day I'm selling you." Emotional statement detected. Owner requires hug. Mechanical arms wrapped around him before he could escape. She laughed until tears formed in her eyes. Moments like those made him believe happiness could never disappear. But happiness often leaves quietly. Luxury starliners continued arriving from the core systems. Wealthy travelers stepped onto the colony wearing clothes that changed colors with every movement. Famous explorers spoke about worlds with floating oceans, living cities, and civilizations that danced beneath 3 suns. She listened to every story. Every day her questions became different. What if we only have one life? What if we're wasting it here? What if the galaxy has something waiting for me? He answered the same way every time. "If it does, we'll discover it together." She wanted a different answer. Weeks later, a legendary explorer arrived aboard one of the largest ships ever seen near the colony. He spoke with confidence that filled every room. He promised endless journeys, forgotten civilizations, impossible discoveries. She listened longer than everyone else. That night she barely spoke. He reached for her hand. "You're somewhere else. I don't know who I am anymore. You're my wife. I was someone before that. You can be both." She remained silent. Days passed. The explorer invited her aboard his ship. "Only for a conversation," she promised. She returned hours later carrying a small travel case. His heart sank before she spoke. "I need to go. For how long? I don't know. And us. I need to find myself. You were never lost. I feel like I am." Their daughter walked into the room carrying a drawing. "Look, I drew all 3 of us." Neither parent answered. The little girl frowned. "Why are you crying?" Her mother knelt beside her. "I'll come back." "When?" "Soon. Tomorrow." "Not tomorrow." The child hugged her tightly. "Then don't go." For one brief moment, he believed she would stay. Instead, she gently loosened the tiny arms around her neck. Outside, the explorer's shuttle waited. He followed her until the landing platform. "You don't have to chase strangers to find happiness." "I'm chasing myself." "You'll lose us." She looked away because looking into his eyes made leaving harder. "I'll contact you." "I'll wait." She nodded, then she boarded. The engines ignited. He stood holding his daughter's small hand as the shuttle disappeared into the stars. Behind them, the repair robot scanned the empty sky. "Family member missing." Nobody answered. After several seconds, the robot quietly added, "Waiting mode activated." He whispered the same words without realizing it. "I'll wait." The first message never came. Every evening he checked the quantum communicator before closing the workshop. Nothing. The second week became the first month. The first month became a year. His daughter eventually stopped asking, "Has mom called?" Instead, she began asking, "Can you teach me how to repair engines?" He smiled despite the ache inside him. "Of course. I want to help. You already do." She pointed toward the old repair robot. It welded the refrigerator to the ceiling again. "I noticed. Should we leave it there?" He looked up. "Maybe until dinner." The robot rolled proudly across the room. Refrigerator successfully protected from theft. His daughter laughed so hard she nearly fell over. He laughed too, not because it was funny, because laughter hurt less than silence. Years slowly reshaped everything. He repaired freighters during the day, then began improving them. Small improvements became inventions. Inventions became patents. Patents became contracts from distant colonies. One evening, his daughter looked over a holographic engine design. "This stabilizer wastes too much energy." He blinked. "You're right." She grinned. "I learned from you." "No," he smiled proudly. "You learned beside me." Father and daughter slowly became partners. People started traveling across sectors just to meet the quiet engineer who solved problems everyone else believed impossible. His fame arrived before he noticed it. Invitations flooded in. Universities, governments, research fleets. He refused most of them. His daughter frowned. "You know you're becoming famous." "I still have ships to fix." "You've built an engine that cuts hyperspace fuel in half. It still needs improvements." She laughed. "You'll say that forever." Probably. Far away, another life unfolded very differently. The explorer who had promised endless excitement rarely stayed in one system for long. New worlds became routine. Luxury became ordinary. Applause faded. The conversations that once sounded exciting became repetitive. One evening, she sat alone aboard a massive observation deck. The explorer approached. "Beautiful galaxy." She quietly answered, "It looked prettier when I wasn't lonely." "You chose this." "I know. You regret it." She didn't answer. That silence answered everything. Months later, he left on another expedition without asking if she wanted to come. She watched his ship disappear exactly as another ship had disappeared years before. Only then did she understand what her husband had felt. She activated her old quantum communicator. His contact still existed. Hands trembling, she sent one sentence, "I'm sorry." The transmission failed. Connection rejected. She tried again. Unavailable. Again. Recipient protected by priority quantum network. Again. Access denied. She stared at the screen for several minutes. The galaxy suddenly felt much larger. She searched the public networks. News appeared instantly. The engineer who changed faster than light travel. The quiet genius behind humanity's new quantum gate. The father-daughter team transforming galactic exploration. She opened the interview. A reporter asked him, "What gave you the strength to continue after losing everything?" He smiled gently. "I didn't lose everything." He looked toward someone standing off camera. "I still had someone waiting for me every evening." His daughter stepped into view carrying 2 cups of coffee. "You forgot your break again." "I was working." "You were hiding." "I was." "You've been staring at the same equation for 20 minutes." He laughed. "You sound like your mother." The words escaped before he could stop them. Both became quiet. His daughter carefully placed the coffee beside him. "I remember her smile." "So do I. I also remember she left." He nodded. "I know." She rested a hand on his shoulder. "You stayed." He looked at her with tired but peaceful eyes. "I always will." Across the galaxy, tears filled the alien woman's silver eyes. For the first time in years, she realized the man she had left behind had not become cold. He had simply learned to give the love she abandoned to the daughter who never stopped needing him. She whispered to herself, "I was searching for another life." Then she closed the communicator and lowered her head. "While they built the one I should have protected." The message she recorded was only 12 words long. "I know I don't deserve an answer, but I'd like to see you once." She expected another rejection. Instead, 24 hours later, a reply arrived. Coordinates attached. One meeting. She stared at the transmission until the stars outside the station blurred. He had answered. Not with affection, not with anger, only with dignity. Several days later, her shuttle landed beside the largest quantum research complex in explored space. She barely recognized the colony. The small settlement they had once called home had become the center of an interstellar alliance. Scientists, diplomats, and engineers from dozens of worlds crossed the streets together. Above them, enormous quantum gates carried ships between galaxies in moments. She whispered, "You really did it." The old repair robot suddenly rolled in front of her. Its paint was newer, but its cheerful voice had not changed. Identity confirmed. It paused. Family member returned after calculating. Its processors hummed loudly. Very, very long vacation. Despite herself, she laughed. "You still remember me?" "I remember everyone." The robot tilted its head. Owner smiled more before departure. Her smile disappeared. "I know." It rolled beside her. "I was instructed never to blame you." "Who instructed you?" "Owner." Her heart broke a little more. The robot escorted her into a quiet garden beneath the transparent dome where everything had once begun. He was already waiting. His hair carried streaks of silver now. His eyes carried something far stronger than pain. Peace. Neither of them spoke for several moments. Finally, she whispered, "You've changed. So have you? I almost didn't come. I almost didn't answer." She nodded slowly. "I deserve that." "No," he looked at her calmly. "You deserve honesty." She lowered her eyes. "I chased dreams. You chased excitement. I thought love would wait. It did." She looked up hopefully. He continued quietly. "But people don't stay unchanged while they're waiting." Tears rolled down her face. "I'm sorry. I know. I wanted to come back years ago. I know. I was ashamed. I know." She covered her face. "I ruined everything." He remained silent until she finally looked at him again. "You broke my heart. I know. But you also forced me to become stronger than I believed possible." She frowned. "I don't understand. If you hadn't left, I might never have discovered what I could build. You deserved better than what I did. I deserved honesty." He smiled gently. "And eventually I found it." Footsteps approached behind them. Their daughter stopped a few meters away. She was no longer the little girl holding broken toys. She stood proudly in the uniform of the Interstellar Science Council. The same graceful long ears framed her face. For several seconds, mother and daughter simply stared at each other. "I'm sorry," the mother whispered. "I know. I missed your entire life." "You did. I thought about you every day." The daughter smiled sadly. "I believe you." She stepped forward and embraced her. The hug lasted only a moment. It wasn't the embrace of a child finding her mother again. It was the kindness of an adult releasing years of unanswered questions. When they separated, neither expected the past to return. The daughter looked at both of them. "I don't think we're a family the way we once were." "No," her father answered, "but we don't have to remain strangers." The mother wiped away her tears. "Would you allow that?" The daughter nodded. "It won't happen overnight." "I know. It'll take time." "I have time." The old repair robot interrupted. "Excellent." All three turned toward it. Probability of emotional conversation exceeding acceptable sadness threshold, 98%. It extended 3 cups of tea with perfect timing. Recommendation, beverage. The daughter laughed first, then her father. Finally, through tears, the mother laughed too. For the first time in many years, the sound belonged to all of them. The past remained impossible to change. The future, however, no longer belonged to regret. It belonged to forgiveness, earned one day at a time, beneath the same stars that had once separated them and now quietly watched them begin again. Years passed quietly after that meeting. No miracle erased the past. No apology restored lost birthdays. No technology could return the years that had already become memories. Yet something unexpected happened. She stopped trying to reclaim the life she had abandoned. Instead, she began earning a place in the lives that had continued without her. She accepted the smallest invitations: a cup of tea after work, a family meal once every few weeks, helping her daughter calibrate quantum telescopes. Watching him repair machines, he no longer needed to repair simply because he still enjoyed working with his hands. She never asked him to love her again. He never pretended the wound had never existed. Trust returned slowly, one ordinary day at a time. One afternoon, their daughter smiled while watching them argue over a broken maintenance drone. "It isn't the power cell." "It is. It is. It definitely is." The old repair robot interrupted. "Correction." Both turned toward it. "The problem is operator stubbornness." Their daughter laughed. "It hasn't changed." The robot proudly answered. "Software update rejected." Even he laughed. Some things deserve to remain exactly as they were. Months later, the Interstellar Science Council announced its greatest mission. A naturally forming quantum fracture had appeared beyond mapped space. Entire fleets sent to investigate had vanished without transmitting a single signal. Scientists feared the fracture wasn't simply another gateway. It distorted time itself. Ships returning from its edge reported impossible events. Some crews aged decades within minutes. Others returned younger than when they had departed. One pilot claimed he had spoken with his own future granddaughter. Most dismissed the story. He did not. After studying every fragment of data, he quietly told the council, "If this fracture continues expanding, Every inhabited system connected through the quantum gates will eventually be affected. Silence filled the chamber. Can it be stopped? Maybe. How? He looked toward the equations floating above the table. Someone has to enter its core. Everyone understood. The probability of returning was almost zero. That evening, he sat alone in his workshop. The repair robot rolled beside him. You are thinking dangerous thoughts. I usually do. Probability of survival? He smiled faintly. Low. The robot remained unusually quiet. I dislike this calculation. His daughter entered moments later. She had already read the mission report. You're volunteering? He nodded. I'm going with you. No, I'm not asking. I am. You spent your whole life protecting me. And I'll spend the rest of it doing exactly that. She folded her arms. I'm not a little girl anymore. I know. I'm one of the scientists who designed the containment field. I know. I can help. I know. Then stop treating me like I'm still carrying broken toys. He looked at her for a long moment, then he smiled. I suppose you stopped being that little girl years ago. She smiled back. I never stopped being your daughter. Another voice answered from the doorway, and she's still my daughter too. They both turned. The alien woman stepped inside. I've already submitted my authorization. He frowned. For what? I'm joining the mission. No, she smiled sadly. I've heard that answer before. This isn't your responsibility. It became my responsibility the day I walked away. You don't owe me your life. I know. I owe both of you my courage. None of them argued after that. 3 days later, their ship crossed the event horizon of the fracture. Time immediately became unstable. The navigation computer announced contradictory readings. Destination reached. Then, destination not yet departed. The repair robot looked around nervously. I officially dislike physics. Their daughter couldn't help smiling. I think everyone does. As they approached the center, strange images surrounded the ship. Not hallucinations, possibilities. He watched himself growing old beside the woman he had once married. Another vision showed him alone forever. Another showed his daughter as a child running toward him. Another showed her as an elderly scientist saying goodbye. Past, present, and future drifted together. The fracture fed on regret. Every choice became visible. Every road never taken continued existing somewhere beyond time. His wife suddenly whispered, I can see the day I left. So can I. She reached toward the vision. He gently caught her hand. You can't change it. I want to. I know. I'd stay this time. I know. Tears filled her silver eyes. I'd choose you. He squeezed her hand. And because you would, he looked forward. You already became someone different. The containment engines suddenly failed. Warning lights covered the bridge. Their daughter checked the systems. The stabilizers collapsing. We're losing the field. The repair robot rapidly analyzed the damage. I have solution. All three looked toward it. Probability of success, 63%. That's surprisingly high, their daughter admitted. The robot proudly extended one mechanical arm. I finally earned engineering degree. Even in that moment, they laughed. The robot connected itself directly into the failing containment core. Its systems immediately overloaded. You'll burn out, he warned. Affirmative, disconnect. Request denied, you don't have to do this. The robot paused for only a second. Family under attack. The same sentence. After all those years, exactly the same. Energy flooded through its body into the containment engine. The fracture slowly began collapsing. Their daughter shouted,